Hello there, Jeremy Weiss here, and welcome to the S3 Formula. And what I wanted to do today is just kind of give you a little bit of a background on how the S3 Formula came to be. So, in order to do that, I apologize, but I'm going to have to get into a little bit of a quick life story. So, I grew up in Toronto, Canada, which, as most or many young Canadians do, I ended up growing up playing a lot of hockey and played at a quite high level from a pretty young age group. So I started playing AAA and the MTHL from about novice up, and in 1993, as a 12-year-old, I moved to Utah. And this was a little bit devastating for me at the time because, growing up in Toronto and being as involved in hockey as I was, I knew that Utah was much less developed hockey-wise than Toronto was. So that was a little bit upsetting for me, but one good thing really did come out of it, and that's that I started weight training. So my old man ended up finding this really cool program that was geared towards younger players or younger athletes. But it wasn't geared towards hockey, it was more designed for football players. So what he did is made a couple of tweaks and tried to make it so that it fit hockey training a little bit more specifically, and let me have at it. So I started weight training as a 12-year-old and had some really good progress with it. And what ended up happening is we moved back to Toronto in 1994. So I stayed for about 8 months down there as a 12-year-old, then came back in 94 and just went back with my old team playing AAA again, and ended up physically dominating just about every other player in my age group. And it was such a night and day difference from my physical development from when I had left to when I came back that even a few of the parents started accusing my dad of having put me on steroids, which of course is ridiculous, but they were just so floored by the physical difference that they couldn't figure out any other explanation, I guess. But my dad would never put me on steroids. Obviously, just want to make sure that that's clear. And I'd never take steroids myself either. So there's no steroid involvement, just a pretty decent, solid, faithfully executed workout program. Then, like I said, we were kind of moving back and forth for about 2.5 years there. So after we had a really good season in '94, which we ended up winning the All-Ontarios, we ended up having to move back again to Utah in 1995. So I'd gone from a pretty successful hockey career up until that point, and then again I was a little bit devastated having to move back in '95. And so what ended up happening is when we moved back, instead of playing Bantams, which, like I said, in Utah, the skill level just wasn't quite there, compared to what I was used to playing. I ended up, it was a little bit of politics, but I ended up having to play Junior B in Utah. So I played Junior B as a 14-year-old, played throughout high school, so for 4 years, played Junior B, and continued intense off-ice conditioning, merely almost as a form of survival. If you compare the physical development of a 14-year-old compared to an 18 to 21-year-old, there's just such a huge weight difference and strength difference that I was almost in fight or flight mode, where I needed to put on some strength and put on some weight just to be able to survive in that league. But it worked. I survived. My skill levels were fine, but like I said, there was just a little bit of a size difference for a lot of years there. After high school, I ended up moving back to Toronto and got back on my same old team again. The Wexford Raiders at the time had AAA programs from novice all the way up through their Junior A program. In fact, this is a picture of my old barn, the Scarborough Arena Gardens, home of the Wexford Raiders. So I don't even think the Wexford Raiders exist anymore, at least not under the same name, which kind of starts making me feel a little bit old. But it was a phenomenal program in its day, and I really enjoyed playing there. But when I moved back up to Toronto, I continued my off-ice conditioning program, and that's when I had a really big realization. And that's what the secret that I realized is that even at the very high levels of hockey, my team, we were notorious for sending guys on to Division I scholarships. Every year we had probably 5 or 6 guys that went on to full ride Division I scholarships. So very high level of hockey. But even at that level, the vast majority of hockey players do little to no strength conditioning training aside from their regular team practices and dryland sessions. And that's just a fact. It just is a matter of fact. And does that leave us an opportunity? Absolutely. Even at very high levels of play, it's an opportunity that you can take. And anytime you've got an opportunity to get an edge over your opponent, you got to take it. So that's what I realized. And the main point, I guess, if you take one thing away from this little presentation, is that it's possible to physically dominate your opponent at almost any level of play, and that includes junior and college. And that's just a matter of fact. Here we have Happy Gilmore dominating his opponent. But all joking aside, it really is the truth. But you've got to train the right way and train consistently, be dedicated with it. Developing the S3 formula. How did this come to be? Well, after juniors, I ended up majoring in exercise science at BYU, which was a really good experience for me. And I began learning a ton of stuff and began to make hockey-specific tweaks and adjustments to my workouts based on the stuff that I was learning in class. And it was amazing, but it actually worked. So I'd learn a few things in class and say, oh man, you know what, that could actually really be applied to hockey. And I'd go and test it out on myself. So using myself as a guinea pig, and then ended up also getting a few other hired guinea pigs along the way, a few local players as well as some of the college club players. Ended up finding a ton of excuses to test this stuff in real life. In fact, I even did a few of my final projects on strength training, and I used a couple of 14 and 15-year-olds for one of my projects, and tracked their progress. Was pretty scientific about the whole thing, and they just had phenomenal gains, phenomenal progress. You could see a difference off the ice. You could see their their physicality improving, their strength, their appearance even, and then on the ice was some huge gains. They were faster, they were more confident, they were stronger, they'd win the battles. So phenomenal results, awesome experience seeing these players improve like that. And then I also mentioned BYU has a club team, so I was also able to test the same basic program with college age kids. So this thing worked phenomenally well from ages 14 and 15 all the way up to 24, 25-year-olds. And it's just it's a solid program. And like I said, we had awesome results. And basically what ended up happening is word spread, and parents began approaching me to train their kids, and they wanted to pay me to do it. Which anytime that you can get a little bit of compensation for something you really enjoy doing, and something that's as fulfilling as this, that's always a really, really nice thing. So I was happy about it and excited to do it. But that brings us to the next point. In 2008 is when I started messing around online a little bit and started my Drills and Skills blog, which you may or may not have already seen. It's ended up becoming quite a bit more popular than I ever imagined it would. But the Drills and Skills blog, I just basically started posting some of my favorite on-ice as well as off-ice exercises, and had an overwhelming response. It was incredible. I couldn't believe it personally, but people were it was almost like there was an appetite for it. People were thirsty for more. Basically at that point is when I decided it's time to, really teach this stuff. Really map it out, lay it out in a format where, people can have the program and work through it piece by piece, and have it be very cohesive and easily trackable. So that's where we came up with the S3 formula. And the S3 stands for speed, strength, and size, something that just about every hockey player should hopefully be wanting to improve on. And it does a phenomenal job of that. So this is the S3 formula. I'm very excited about it, and very excited to be working with you over this coming summer.